What's up guys, today we're going to clean the duck gun. Stay tuned. When you're handling firearms, safety is always number one. So this is my Mossberg 935. I store it with the chamber open. You could check and make sure no ammo's in it. It doesn't matter if the prop guy tells you the gun is empty. Always make sure this is empty before handling or cleaning. Now just to double check everything, you could cycle it a couple times. Make sure nothing's in the magazine tube down here. Make sure there's no ammo inside. Stick your finger in, double check and make sure, because you don't want to have an accident. You cannot call that back after you shoot it, so always be safe. Alright, so after you check to make sure that you don't have any ammo in the gun, first thing you do, and a lot of semi-auto shotguns are the same way, you take this and you spin it out, and this will just be a quick disassembly. Here's your little cap, your little plastic handguard comes off, and you can see different parts of the gun here. So the next step is you just take the barrel off on here. Now sometimes it stays stuck in here, but this is your ring. This makes everything fire. And if you look inside there, I'll maybe get a close-up. There's two little holes up in here that makes this reciprocate, and that's kind of how this works. It's a gas blowback kind of system. Blows back this ring, hits this tube, which hits this guy right here, and there you go. This is your magazine tube, and this pretty much carries everything to reciprocate back and forth. Now to get the bolt out, you take your little charging handle here. Sometimes it's difficult, but yeah, you just kind of wiggle it out, and this thing just kind of comes out. And out comes your bolt. So this is the bolt. It gets hit by the other systems, goes back, and there's actually a spring that goes all the way down the back here, and that's where your recoil spring is. And that's where this guy sits, and so you can take this right here, you pop it out for your trigger. Two little pins come out. The whole trigger group comes out. So these are the parts of the shotgun. You have your barrel, you have your little nut cap there, you have your ring, your tube, little recoil buffer there. So this is like the magazine tube. You have the main portion of the firearm. You have your bolt and your bolt carrier per se, and that's your little charging handle that kind of locks all this into place. So the first thing I do, I take the shotgun cleaner and I just give everything a nice little spray. It just breaks down all the tarnish. And you want to get all the little parts and bits and pieces here. As you can see, a bunch of just dirt and grime starts falling out. And yeah, just kind of spray things off. And I don't get too crazy with the shotgun. You just kind of got to get things wiped down. Keeping it lubricated is the most important part. So when you're cleaning firearms, you always want to inspect all your bits. The first thing I start with is this little ring right here. You want to make sure that both of these gaskets are nice, there's no chunks taken out, and that everything just looks really nice on this ring right here, because this is what makes a firearm cycle. So this is one of the most important components of this shotgun. So you just want to double check all your rings here after you get it squirted off. Sometimes the gunk hides little flaws in it, so just make sure you double check this thing. This is where a lot of dirt gets stuck, so you want to, I just use this to blast off all the grit and gunk. Give it a little wipe down. Make sure your little hammer is good. Here's your hammer. If it's crunchy or anything, you want to get down inside there. Just let all the junk get out. So here's your bolt and your firing pin. Give this a nice good spraying. I always have this carpet to kind of catch everything. This stuff dries real nice, so I just spray it down, let everything drip off. Give it a little rub down here. This is what extracts your spent rounds. You want to make sure the little tooth is still sharp. You want to make sure your firing pin runs smooth. Didn't even get into the toolkit yet. For most of my firearms, I just use one of these bristle brushes. Don't get the metal ones, get the like plastic kind. And you just want to get in here. And it just fits real nice in all these little nooks and crannies. You want to make sure your face is nice and flush still. Make sure there's no like dings and dents. This is the rail that it slides on. You want to make sure that's nice and clean. Now this stuff pretty much strips everything off of this, so this is pretty much dry bare metal. So once we get to the lubing process, we'll get everything nice and lubed. This also slides around in the firearm. You want to make sure this is nice and clean. Ooh. Nice and clean and tidy. I kind of just let a lot of the excess fall off. This stuff's pretty cheap. This is like $5 and I've had this thing for a long time now. You want to make sure all the parts that make contact with other parts of the firearm are nice and clean. And yeah, you can see it's just completely open. So you could get in there, get a lot of things cleaned out. Yeah, look, there's just grass and mud. These things get a little dirty when you're out hunting. So when you're cleaning down in here, there are two little holes that will probably be really hard to try and get the camera to focus on, but there are two holes in here. So as the gases come down here, there's two little holes that push down in, which kicks this guy back and makes the whole gun work. So make sure those two little holes are clean, because they can get gunked up. Oh, yeah, they're just on this side. They're kind of pointed this way down here. I have no idea if the camera will even see that, but make sure those little guys are clean. Another thing, look down. You just want to look down your barrel. Make sure there's no gunk or grit. You could just send a pad down. Shotguns, you really don't have to like clean out that much. Everything kind of just blows right down it. You do want to check for little imperfections, little nicks, cuts or anything, any cracking, because that's not good. Another thing, check your choke tube. I just leave mine in. It kind of gets stuck in there, but I use the same one pretty much for everything I do. Now when you're off duck hunting, it's always good. I guess this is just shotgun cleaner. They make REM oil. REM oil is really good. Or I've been really liking the CLP. So if you're having issues just out in the field, I mean, I keep one in the truck. So if I'm having issues, I can walk back to the truck, give it a spray down, make sure everything's working real nice, and it'll work for the day. But if you're having issues with your shotgun doing anything, you always want to just do a deep clean, because it's a bummer when the ducks are coming in and you're shooting and it jams. So yeah, after everything's all nice and clean, you take your oil or your lube, whatever you're using, You just give everything a nice little spray. I also go in the barrel and kind of just, things will start dripping out. That's as much as I clean my barrel. Never had an issue. You want to take all your moving parts, make sure there's enough on everything, and this will also help with rust. So I'm in Colorado, we're pretty dry, so rust isn't too big of an issue, but it can still happen. But every little moving part you want to make sure just works just fine. I kind of just leave on the excess. The first few shots are a big fireball, but whatever. Now this thing does slide around, so I also get this lubed up a little bit. All your little springs here, just, they do move. Now these go inside the gun and kind of just like a little buffer. And yeah, that's pretty much how you clean, and we're gonna start assembling the gun right now. At this point, I find it easier to put this guy in first. And as you can see, there's a little plunger in there. That's what it goes to. A lot easier with the trigger out. Take your little hammer and just put it in backward. You just kind of wiggle it in. Now to make sure that doesn't fall off, you just hold it depressed. Take this, slide it in. Take your pins, stick those in. Second pin, put it in. Now these go in on the side with your serial number there. So now that this is back in, you just kind of want to lock it in the back. Got this little plastic thing, it seats down on there. Take this, slide this on, this guy. Now the important part, this ring right here. You want to make sure that the gaskets are facing forward. Take your barrel, kind of just slides in, line everything up. Make sure everything runs. Take a little plastic sleeve, slide that on. Your little nut. We are ready to rock and roll. So once I have it back together, I give everything a quick little spray again. Just get it in the system. Make sure everything runs all smooth. Wipe off any of the excess. Now it is painted. I rub down the whole thing. This gets off all the extra dirt and grime. And there you go. That's how you clean a semi-auto shotgun. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.